Yo, what is going on, guys? We're back today for another video. So, Kabam has been on an absolute roll lately this month, and not the good kind. And just when you think it's over, they do something else. And man, seeing the community's reaction to this is crazy. So, before we get into all the goodness, I actually want to show you guys a video that I tried to upload about 4 weeks ago on the Gene and Bastion rebalancing. On this day, YouTube was being super dumb and like just nothing would load for me. I tried to upload the tier list, I believe, that day, and like I just wasn't able to. I also tried to upload this video, it just wouldn't let me. It's being super dumb. So I was getting really annoyed. So I just kind of stepped away from my computer for the day, and then the next day I was still having some issues, so I never ended up uploading this video. But here's what I said about 4 weeks ago. All right, let's listen together. Overall, we're happy with how Jean Grey has landed and will not be making any changes to her kit. Ooh, baby. Both champs are safe from being nerfed, dude, which is great to hear. Nice. So what's next? You can okay, dude. Spider-Woman. I'm worried about Spider-Woman, dude. I think she's a little bit too good, especially like defensively, because Spider-Woman was not intended to be a defender originally. But she's outperforming champs that were intended to be defenders, like High Evolutionary. I believe High Evolutionary. He's like, we should go fact check myself here. Fact finding mission. Spider-Woman, Spotlight, COC, and then High Evo, Spotlight, COC. Okay, so take a gander at both of these. I just want to see their stats here. Okay, so Spider-Woman is a 3.5, right? High Evolutionary is a 5. That doesn't make any sense. I would say Spider-Woman is as good of a defender as High Evo. At least. Like, 3.5 is not doing her justice. She should, at minimum, be a 4. Probably, like, a 4.5. But at minimum, a 4. So, yeah, she's definitely outperforming her intended defender strength. In my professional opinion, playing this game very, very competitively, especially the last season of Battlegrounds, Spider-Woman was like one of the craziest defenders of that whole entire Battlegrounds meta. Like that, that's what I'm talking about, dude. So yeah, I'm a little worried. I hope she doesn't get changed because I really love her. I don't think she will, but there's definitely a chance. All right, guys. So yeah, there's a chance. Now let's go ahead and jump over to see what Kabam has to say about Spider-Woman and Lumatrix. So, hold on, let me move this over just a bit more. There we go. Okay, so balance update, Spider-Woman, Lumatrix. Start with Lumatrix real quick. The Battle Realm's second idol had the goal of a hard-hitting critical focus champion with their misdirection mechanic designed to supplement a high-tempo playstyle, while also disrupting opponents defensively by restricting their openings. Across multiple Alliance War and Battleground seasons, players have used Lumatrix endurance and unique immunity set effectively as indicated by their most popular and best performing matchups. Lumatrix attacker usage and performance overall continues to develop at a healthy clip, and we're happy with what we're seeing so far. Defensively, Lumatrix is all about restricting the windows that can be punished, rewarding the opponents who comfortably manage miss or evade. Lumatrix started off as a hot as a defender, notably in Alliance War, where they benefit from the Genesis defensive tactic, amplifying their ability to disrupt the tempo of the opponents and force mistakes. As the tactics rotated out, Lumatrix's defensive performance settled into a range more suited for their target and have found a few tricky spots on the map that have proven to be punishing but answerable. Lumatrix's defensive performance in Battlegrounds has trended similarly to their performance in Alliance War, having settled into a healthy range over time. No changes incoming for Lumatrix, which, I find interesting because I think Lumatrix is a very, very powerful defender. Very powerful defender. I would say he's outperforming their original goals for him defensively. I would say that about Lumatrix as well as Spider-Woman. But okay, no changes for Lumatrix. Now let's get to the good stuff. Spider-Woman. So, our latest Spider-Verse hero has arrived in the contest, and the impact of Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, is definitely being felt. Equipped with both familiar and new abilities, she's dominating against top Mystic defenders like Enchantress. Well, yes, this Kabam was her intended best matchup, giving her multiple stacks of the Debilitate debuff. and non-mystic defenders too. While her offensive performance is on the stronger side, it's not something we feel warrants intervention on its own. Uh-oh, on its own. Defensively, and to get directly to a critical point, Spider-Woman has been more of a menace than we wanted, for her Defender Champion attribute being a 3.5 out of 5. Therefore, we will be removing the Ensnare debuff from her kit so that attackers are not pressured with a long-lasting ability accuracy reduction. Wait, what? They're removing Ensnare. Tell me that's just defensively, right? We expect this change to free up attackers to more consistently play around her other RPG threats like Severe, Power Sting, and Fumble. While removing the Snare will obviously have some effect on her attacker power as well. Wait, what? They're removing Ensnare. So, like, I had heard people talking about Spider-Woman nerf, you know, of course. But, like, I never really looked into it yet, and I hadn't read any of this yet. And what? Like, I was expecting something, but what? No. No. You gotta be kidding me. You can't just remove one of the biggest parts of her kit. What? You gotta be kidding me. Is this... Hold on, hold on. Let me finish reading. And let me read that again. Okay, let me read this again. Therefore, we will be removing the Ensnare debuff from her kit so that attackers are not pressured with a long-lasting ability accuracy reduction on a regular basis. We expect this change to free up attackers to more consistently play around her other RPG threats like Severe, Power Sting, and Fumble. Holy fudge, they're serious. While removing Ensnare will obviously have some effect on her attacker power as well, we haven't seen Spider-Woman need a solution to evade across her matchup spread. BS. Absolute BS. I love using Spider-Woman's Ensnare as an attacker. I've managed to fight freaking Bullseye with her because of that debuff. What do you mean? What? Huh? Bruh. Huh? Similarly, the ability accuracy reduction isn't potent enough to encourage using it as a solution to defensive encounters. Says you? Spider-Woman's ability accuracy reduction with the Ensnare is amazing and super useful. And I've seen it come into play all the time. Offensively and defensively. Like, what? But was strong enough to add confusing interactions across the game. Specifically, in her Enchantress counter matchup, this evade answer didn't have many opportunities to make an impact, as debilitate her own evade on miss, unstoppable, and general anti-miss abilities allow Spider-Woman to control the fight from the beginning. So just because one of her matchups doesn't require this debuff, you're pulling it from the entirety of the kit? What? What? Overall, we believe this is an important update in our ongoing effects to prevent too... Oh, this is the best line right here. Overall, we believe... I can't read this with a straight face. We believe this is an important update in our ongoing efforts to prevent too many strong defenders from being introduced too quickly across the game. Are you kidding me, man? They are using the too many strong defender cop-out BS excuse to make us okay with nerfing Spider-Woman on attack? What? No. If you don't want too many strong defenders, how about you nerf the strong defenders that you release? Like Serpent. Like Dark Phoenix. Bruh. Like, the champs that you're actually releasing as 5 out of 5 defenders. Why aren't you nerfing them? Why are you nerfing the champs that you're giving a 3.5 defender rating? And why are you nerfing them on attack? Kabam. It's not too late. Don't do this. Do not nerf Spider-Woman offensively. You said it yourself that you feel like her offensive performance was fine. Where was it? While her offensive performance is on the stronger side, it's not something we feel warrants intervention on its own. Okay, then don't. Don't touch her Ensnare on offense. Do not touch that. I don't... Oh, dude, this is so frustrating. You know, like the last time I can even think of when, you know, Kabam actually nerfed a defender, when this would actually ring true. There's two occasions that come to mind. The first one is Absorbing Man, which was super duper minor. All they did was make it so that when you're fighting him defensively, he can't heal past where he was previously. You know, because this was making it so that in Alliance War specifically, you'd go in, Absorbing Man would heal, you die, and it would like his infinite loop, and he was unkillable in a lot of like lower level places in the games. You know, they fixed that. That was a good change, so that he couldn't heal past where his health was previously brought to. It's made it a lot more reasonable to fight him. Totally fair. You know, that's a good change. Not that big of a deal, and he still functions pretty much exactly the same, and especially the same in Battlegrounds. No changes in Battlegrounds. Like that was a specific little change, right? The other one I can really think of was Bullseye, a champion, you know, built to be a 5 out of 5 defender, and every time you dex Bullseye, you know, you were taking bleed damage on every single of his basics. You know, they changed that to only on special attacks. When you evade, if you're not bleeding, you'll take that bleed damage. Regular dexes don't trigger that, because that's stupid. Why are you taking damage when you're not getting touched? You know, that, again, was a good change to a super strong defender. This, you're taking away an ability offensively that matters. Ability accuracy reduction is a super big deal. Preventing evade is a super big deal. What do you think makes Okoye so good? Ensnare. Like, Ensnare has been around for a very long time. My guy, Stark Spidey over there, was, I think, the first champion in the game to have it, but it's on his special 3. So, you know, it never really actually was utilized, especially with Stark Spidey. With Okoye and Spider-Woman, you know, you're triggering that Ensnare all the time. All of a sudden, you rely on it. Like, one of the biggest... Oh, yeah, I just thought of the biggest matchup where Ensnare is important. So they say that removing Ensnare will obviously have some effect on her attacker power as well. We haven't seen Spider-Woman need a solution to evade across her matchup spread. BS. B freaking S. Because the biggest matchup that you need Ensnare for is when you're fighting Spider-Woman with Spider-Woman to prevent her from evading. Herself, her mirror matchup. That is one of her biggest matchups. Yes, it is Kabam. I don't care what you say. I played Battlegrounds. Played 2 seasons. Super competitive brawl season. Spider-Woman. I fought her all the freaking time. And one of her best counters was herself. So, yeah, that's BS. And, oh man, this is so stupid. I'm so happy the community is already up in arms about this, because this is just dumb. And Kabam needs to listen to the community this time around. I tried my hardest. I set up a poll petition when Serpent wasn't nerfed. Oh yeah, we can't have too many strong defenders. This is just total BS, dude. Like, the rebalancing team does nothing for like 6 months, and now you want to come and nerf Spider-Woman? Are you kidding me? No. We see right through this, man. This is... No. I will not stand for this. This is ridiculous. I am completely and utterly against this change. You guys know Spider-Woman is one of my favorite champions in the game. I've said I think she's easily one of the strongest, especially in the science class. I've said months ago that she is the new strongest science champion in the game. You know, I've been very aware of her power for quite a while, and like I even said, you know, in this video, I think there was a small chance they nerf her, and even the thought of, you know, lowering her defensive craziness a little bit, I'm maybe open to, but this is absolutely not the way. This is not the way. Do not nerf her offensively, even when you said right here you're not gonna, and do it anyways. That's absolute BS. And even taking out the Ensnare, I don't think that is the right answer. I think there's a better way. But either way, do not remove this from her kit as an attacker. That is absolute BS. I would be so pissed off if that happened, dude. As a defender, that's one thing. But don't take away my offensive power that you yourself said doesn't warrant intervention on its own. If you're gonna remove the debuff, remove it defensively. Do not touch her offensively, especially if that is your BS excuse here to try to justify this. This is insane. I honestly can't believe this. So yeah, you know, the good news is that this entire process takes months and months and months and months. So, you know, this is not something that's going to be relevant in game till January. Hopefully, by January, we can convince Kabam as a community that this is not the right change, and something else can happen. At least at the very bare minimum, we need to protect Spider-Woman's offensive utility, because a lot of us ranked her first and foremost because she's an attacker. I did. You know, I later found out how good of a defender she is, but I was super hyped on her to begin with as an attacker, and I don't want to see that attacker power lowered, especially when Kabam said themselves they feel it doesn't warrant it, and that's their whole excuse for nerfing her. Big nerf. Don't let Kabam fool you either. This is a massive nerf to Spider-Woman. This will completely change her as a champion if this change is done, especially offensively and defensively. You know, the way Spider-Woman functions currently on defense right now is she's a multi-pronged defender. And what I mean by that is she has multiple threats in her kit. So the first threat is evasion. She just has her evasion, you know. And the way to counter that evasion is with ensnare, Kabam. So evade, that's a big one. Now, how does that become an even bigger threat? That's with her debuffs that she applies to. She just will naturally apply debuffs to you over the course of the fight. The more debuffs, the more potent that evade is, right? And then, secondly still, with those debuffs, inequity. So that lowers your attack rating, drawing out the fights. And then thirdly, we have the ensnare. The ensnare, I'd say, is its own prong of her defensive kit, because not only does it prevent evade, but it prevents ability accuracy, and it almost feels like domino, like a mini domino effect of just failing your abilities. That's what it feels like, and it feels really powerful. So with all three of those prongs, that's what makes Spider-Woman such a powerful defender. All three of those things combined into one super powerful meta science defender. So if they remove one of those prongs, she falls apart. It's three prongs for a reason. That's what's really holding her up and, you know, making her into this crazy champion. So removing one of those full prongs is a very big deal from her kit defensively, and huge nerf offensively, which is not warranted in their own words. So yeah, that is the fully Spider-Woman nerf explained, my live raw reaction to it, how I feel and what I think. I think this is total BS. I'm very upset about this, and I don't want to see this change come to fruition. You know, she should not be touched offensively. I cannot wait to read the comments, what you guys have to say about all this. Make sure to drop a comment. We gotta tell Kabam that we mean business. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. All love and support. Hope you guys all have a great, wonderful day. Peace.